Hello, everybody watching our brave new adventure of putting Raritan River music live online. This was a massive endeavor, and we really must thank our hosts for the evening online, the Americas Society, who has been a huge, huge and invaluable help to us, which we could not have done this without the Americas Society, so we really can't thank them enough. We also would like to give our thanks to Nancy Barron, who is the sponsor of our concert tonight. And of course, our guests tonight. The concert will be by the Argus String Quartet. Michael, did you want to show our brochure?
I did. So if you had come to the concert tonight at Old Greenwich Presbyterian Church in Stewartsville, New Jersey, you would have seen this, and you would have seen all the wonderful things coming up on the festival. So now you can go to raritanrivermusic.org to learn more about all of the groups. And we'll look forward to seeing you at the reception after the concert. We'll have a little something to drink we'll share with you, and maybe a little something to eat as well. And all the members of the quartet are here. We can see their little pictures, but
virtually, yes, they're all here live. The presentation that you'll see though tonight is more like a movie than a concert. So there'll be musical presentations and also some talk, and the group will introduce themselves at that time.
And we'll look forward to seeing you for the Q&A at the end.
Yes, and please feel free, if you can figure out how to do it, and I know, okay, it's really hard, but if you can figure out how to chat, we do invite chatting because all the artists are here and we can respond to your chat at the end. So please feel free, and also chat. You can chat among yourselves. If you see something interesting being chatted about, you can join in. So it's kind of like you can talk during the concert. And of course, you can be doing anything else you want, like drinking or running around. You can have the vacuum cleaner on and clean your house during the concert because you can be at home and you don't have to drive home. So,
and of course, for doing comments, you do that through the YouTube channel. And you do have to sign into your YouTube Google account.
And now I think we would go ahead and start the show.
Hi, my name is Clara, and I'm one of the violinists of the Argus Quartet. I'm speaking to you today from my home in Manhattan, New York.
Hi, I'm Maren, and I'm the violist from the Argus Quartet. I'm currently at my boyfriend's parents' place in Madison, Wisconsin.
Hi, I'm Giancarlo Latta, and I'm the second violinist in the Argus Quartet. I'm coming to you today from Ann Arbor, Michigan, where I'm with my family in quarantine.
Hi, I'm Joanne, and I'm the cellist of the Argus Quartet. I'm speaking to you in my in-laws' home on Long Island.
During this shelter-at-home situation, I've been cooking while watching some very cheesy and very romantic TV shows in Spanish, and I justify it by telling myself I'm practicing my language skills.
During this period of social distancing, I'm taking the opportunity to read and write a lot. I'm always really into reading, even during my normal life, but I don't often have a lot of time for writing, so I'm really enjoying exploring that.
During this shelter-in-home situation, I've learned how to make two classic Indian dishes with my mom-in-law from scratch. They're called rajma and paneer tikka masala.
During this time, I've had enough time to experiment with some cooking projects and go running and try out some body combat videos.
The first piece that you just heard was Contrapunctus 1 from The Art of Fugue by Johann Sebastian Bach. It is one of the last pieces he composed, and we love playing it because it's full of imagination and creativity in forming a tapestry of sounds with just 4 voices. And therefore, without much further ado, here's the 9th Contrapunctus from the same piece, The Art of Fugue by Johann Sebastian Bach.
everyone, I'm Christopher Theophanides, and I'm the composer of Conference of the Birds, and so happy to be included on this program tonight with my longtime friends and collaborators, the Argus String Quartet. I normally live up in New Haven, Connecticut, where I've been teaching at Yale University for the past 12 years, and also teach out in the summers at the Aspen Music Festival, where I co-direct the composition program. I'm currently writing out COVID-19 down in Houston, Texas, so I can be close to family down here.
Hi everyone, I'm Melissa Studdard and I'm the poet for this project. I'm really happy to be with you tonight for the concert, and I'm joining you from Houston, Texas, where I live with my kid Rosalind, near extended family, and where I teach and write.
The Conference of the Birds is a metaphorical journey. The premise of it is that all the birds of the world convene in a place and decide that they need a leader, somebody who's going to take them forward. And they know in a distant land there's the god bird, Simorg, who can do this for them. In order to get to the Simorg, they need to go through 7 valleys, and each of these valleys is a kind of metaphor for understanding of the self. So with each of these things, they shed a part of who they were, and they reveal a part of who they are. This piece was originally commissioned by the Ying String Quartet up in Rochester, New York at the Eastman School of Music. When they came to me, I was reading the book, The Conference of the Birds by Attar of Nishapur, which is a 13th century extended poem in the kind of Sufi Persian tradition. And one of the things about that period which is so amazing to me is that it's a time of flourishing of the search for meaning in the spirit world. You have figures like Rumi, Hildegard of Bingen, Attar, and Hafez, amazing figures who turned inward kind of in response to the chaos and falling apart of their external worlds.
The process of collaboration is a truly fascinating one. It's amazing to have the opportunity to work with a number of different people, a number of different artists on a project, and to share our inspirations and our dreams and our wishes with each other. I think that's one of the most amazing things about being an artist and being able to do these types of projects together and across disciplines.
When the Argus String Quartet approached me about adding a kind of dimension to this work that wasn't there originally, I immediately thought of my friend Melissa Studdard, who was a wonderful poet and felt perfectly adapted both in terms of her sensibility and her writing style to do something like this. What she came up with was really neat. It was a series of kind of interpolated poems based on the music, which was based on the original poem of the Attar. And so it kind of had 3 generations of response in a sense. And I was just so delighted at how flexible she was in adapting this for performance. So in this version of it, you'll hear kind of short versions of the longer poems that she did for each of these movements. And I think what you get is a kind of conversation between music, poem, and something in the past, which all adds up to the idea of this kind of journey.
The process of working on this project has been exciting. Poetry isn't typically a collaborative art form the way music is, so having the opportunity to collaborate has really stretched me in ways that have made me open to other collaborations, like the project I'm working on with my friend Kelly. I think some of the key things to keep in mind when working on this sort of collaboration are flexibility and receptiveness. I made 3 different versions of the poems for different program lengths, and I also read multiple translations of Attar's Conference of the Birds before I settled on the translation I would draw my inspiration from. And also, obviously, I was inspired by Christopher Theophanides' gorgeous music. And in fact, that was really the main source of my inspiration. Rather than creating a narrative, as Attar had done, I wanted to create little snapshots that would honor the distinct flavors of the different movements and provide imagery and questions that people could ponder and envision as they listened.
I'm so grateful to Melissa for having created such a beautiful collection of poetry for this piece, and also for Argus for doing what it took to kind of make it happen. And you don't see what goes on behind the scenes, but especially in something like this where they're doing layering of tracks and learning on the fly how to do something like this. and being willing to try things out. I think that's very much part of who they are in their DNA, and it's just been such a pleasure, so thank you.
I want to say thank you to Argus and Christopher Theophanides for coming up with the idea to have poems with this project and inviting me to participate and being so wonderful to work with. I'd like to also thank the Raritan River Music Festival for hosting this concert. And I'd like to thank my publisher, Ron Starbuck, who temporarily shifted around all kinds of other projects to quickly make the book, Like a Bird with 1,000 Wings, from the poems of this collaboration. Valley of Quest. There's a brightness folded into every bird, but the bird doesn't know it. The bird is 30 birds who soared out of dreaming to invent sky. 30 birds flying in the formation of a bird. God tells them, open, O moonbeak, O silver black, O sliver of luck. And the bird says, break me until I'm whole. God says, empty, and the bird spills a splendor of jewels from their 30 beaks into the valley. Don't think I'm a diamond, God says. Find me. And hands the bird a map back to the inside of their own bone. And an arch of wing lifts sun up towards light. And a thump under the chest answers yes, and yes, and yes, and yes.
Valley of Love. You're in a valley and flying. Your wings flame bright like shining from shook foil, arching and lifting, wimpling and waving. You coax honey from a topaz stone and feed it to a cloud. You mistake a horse's whinny for winter and stop for 100 years to build fires to keep the horse warm. Soon, love lifts you, breaks you into the gift of your life, and you are one again with the wonder of dappled light. Give it to everyone you meet. There's no right or wrong here, only warmth rushing from you like embers to the wind.
Valley of knowledge. And who has not at one point scraped the bottom of self to invent a new self? Who has not dropped the diamond to pick up a ruby? Dropped the ruby to scoop a peridot from a pea pod? One bird tosses another a gold-set pearl of wisdom. The bird drops it, and another picks it up, rolls it across a talon and into a beak, tosses it up, up, like a golden bracelet twisting on its chains. Everything they thought they knew turns tarnished at the tip and drifts off. Who will answer the question? Who will answer the question no one asked?
Valley of detachment. Self is the place we keep getting sewn back into. We fly away, it sews us back. We tear the fabric, here comes the needle. Try falling down the well of yourself. Little clicks along the way. Little bright spots before the dark. It happens more slowly than you previously thought. Dismantle your bones and build a new God.
Valley of Unity. Now, the valley has filled you with singing birds. A ruby-throated chirp lifts from an emerald-lined limb. An orange-throated warble walks through a Larimar sky. Through gauzy, wind-blown curtains, you see flashes of light spun round a spinning child. Beneath the blooming green gauge plums. Beneath the drift of dandelion puff. You are the child, and the child is you. Who is the bird song? Who is the emerald? Who is the light? Consume the shimmering false distance between yourself and everything you see, so that you may be a conduit that brings these warm, pulsing wonders to the world, still breathing and throbbing with life.
Valley of wonderment. Stretch them wide as God's first breath. From tip to tip there is no time, just the rumbling of a tune in your makeshift beak, and bright sky galloping through the hollow of bone. Bucket of air, spine built from light, bird full of flutters and drafts. The world drifts like a current inside you. Rivers, trees, and hills, feathers, wings, and light. The start and end of time, rowing through blood's currents, sailing inside the freedom of the mind.
valley of poverty and annihilation. When the bird song rings divine, shining brighter than a silverfish that has come apart in the claws, every bird creates its own god. Every bird leaves itself and the valley's whirl, rebuilds its world from fish bones and limestone. To be and not to be, that is the answer. Because God is not a clock nor a sundial reaching forward with narrow arms. God is a million tiny pieces, a glitter or destiny, breaking flesh into astonishment, breaking pain into daggers of light.
Good morning, everybody. I'm still waking up over here. I'm in Central Park at the Jackie O Reservoir, and I love coming here because I love the water. I used to swim, but since the gym closed, I haven't been able to, so I love coming to run here and enjoy these beautiful views.
Today is April 21st. It's around 8 a.m. and I woke up about 15 minutes ago. I tried to wake up my husband for an exercise, but he didn't wake up. So I got out of bed, brushed my teeth, put on my contacts, and now I'm in the basement where my in-laws have this awesome exercise studio.
Tea. In the morning, I need my big mug of tea. And I like drinking it on this bench that sits in a very sheltered place by the house so that I can look outside into the garden and watch and listen for birds.
And let's go. 1, 2, in and out. 1, to. Are you already feeling the burn? Very good. You in your body. Let's get this done. I love this saying. A short workout is better than no workout. So wherever you're at.
So after my morning workout and meditation, I went to the kitchen to have some cereal and a little bit of coffee. Now I have my bottle of water ready for the day, and I'm gonna finish my warm cup of coffee, and then I'll take a shower and get ready to start the day.
It's about 11 a.m. and I'm on Zoom with my family and I'm teaching my mom how to use Zoom. Say hi!
Hello, Kai. Yo. Oh, yeah. So this is Kai. He's the big old dog. And I'm sure the little one is around the corner. There she is. Hi, Katrina. So these two are wonderful companions. Katrina is a little monster. The sweetest dogs and one of the few dogs that you can bribe with food, but only with the frisbee.
So most of you who know me know that I have a huge sweet tooth. And it's the middle of the afternoon and I'm hitting that afternoon slump. So I'm gonna have a cookie. It's cookie time. And you'll see next to it, I have a little dessert for snack time. It's a dark chocolate Reese's peanut butter cup. So I will enjoy.
So one thing I've gotten to learn a little bit more about during this quarantine is very basic audio recording. So I have a really basic setup with a Zoom recorder and GarageBand, but it's still been enough to sort of teach me a little bit about basic editing and different elements of recording. So here's my setup. Next to the girl with the pearl earring, I have my Zoom recorder attached to a tripod which sits on my desk. And here I have GarageBand open. I've been working on some violin arrangements where I play a bunch of different tracks layered on top of one another. So it's sort of like playing chamber music, although of course it's not as good as the real thing.
My practicing has gotten significantly better lately. I guess nowadays I have the time and headspace to focus more.
I've been doing a lot of cooking recently and it's been really fun and also quite adventurous. And tonight's gonna be a chicken. It's gonna be a whole chicken and I'm gonna roast it and we'll see how it turns out.
So I've been trying to learn this over the past few weeks, and I very slowly see some improvement.
Here we go. My favorite times of day, it's 7 o'clock and you can hear all the people in New York cheering for the health workers, and it's awesome because across the street we have this amazing drummer who comes out on his balcony every day, accompanied by lots of pots and pans, and of course people cheering from their balconies. Woo!
So I've been spending my quarantine in Ann Arbor, Michigan at my parents' house. I am surrounded by way more books than I have time to read, even though it seems like I have nothing but time right now. So behind me is just one of many shelves. You can see it goes from floor to ceiling. I'm finding some gems and it's been really nice to have a chance to read.
Something that I really like doing nowadays is knitting and crocheting. So I often like to knit hand warmers that go on my wrists. They keep my hands warm when I play, but they don't interfere. These are bigger projects. Long mittens that go all the way up to the elbow here and the fingers up there. I already know that the next yarn is gonna be this, very colorful. Can't wait to start.
Oh boy, well, it's the evening time, which means ice cream and wine.
The next piece you'll hear is the first movement of the String Quartet in E flat by Fanny Mendelssohn. Fanny Mendelssohn was the older sister of Felix Mendelssohn, and though her music is less performed today than that of her brother, it's no less interesting and beautiful and skillfully crafted. And this string quartet, which is in 4 movements, we love performing this piece. We've played it quite a bit, and this recording of the first movement, which is a slow, songful introduction, was made in December 2019 in New York. So we hope you enjoy the first movement of Fanny Mendelssohn's String Quartet in E flat.
Thank you so much for joining us.
We had so much fun playing and creating these videos for you.
We also really want to thank Robert and Leo Besson for all their help in putting together the digital content for tonight's concert. We learned a lot from this experience, and we really could not have done it without them.
On behalf of the Argus Quartet, we would like to just send an enormous, huge thank you to Laura Altman and Michael Newman from the Raritan River Music Festival, who have done an incredible job to find a wonderful way to bring us all together during this time, and also to have a platform and to be creative in having artists share our music with you.
Please consider donating to this incredible organization to help them continue thriving and spreading the joy of music.
We also want to thank Christopher Theophanides and Melissa Studdard for their help in putting the Conference of the Birds project together.
Please join us after this performance for a virtual meet and greet.
Hi, my name is Christopher Cerrone, and I am a composer based in Brooklyn. I'm holding a $150 violin that I bought off the internet, which was the very first thing I did when I had a commission to write a new string quartet played here by the Argus Quartet. And the first sound I found on the piece was just the tapping of the strings lightly with a finger, just like this. And I thought, oh, this is such a wonderful sound. And actually, once you apply to a bow to it, it becomes a trill. And so this is sort of the beginning of what became my string quartet, Can't and Won't, which is named after a story by one of my favorite writers, Lydia Davis. The whole piece is in 7 short interconnected movements and were originally songs I was writing based on her text. But as that project became clear that it wasn't a very good one, I realized I had all this wonderful material that would make a great string quartet. And part of it was this idea of driving animated rhythms on open D strings on the violin. So very quickly I realized that this is going to be a much better string quartet than it is song cycle. The piece has now been played many, many times by the Argus Quartet, and they've become its real champions. So I'm so happy to share this document with you.
I've got a delicious IPA here, and I'm ready.
I've got my water bottle in my hand, and I'm ready.
I've got some Wisconsin beer in my hand, and I am ready.
I've got my bottle of bourbon, and I'm ready.
We have our glasses in our hands, and we're ready. I hope everyone who is at home will join us for the traditional Raritan River Music Festival reception. We're having our reception here, and this is your opportunity to speak with the artists, as we always do.
Would one of you care to start the discussion with any of the questions that we've had during the comments during the show that you'd like to address?
Hello,
Yes,
can you hear me?
yes, I can.
Hi. Thanks again, everybody who watched, and thanks again to you guys, Michael and Laura, for putting this all together for us, and for helping us make this concert happen, even in spite of the circumstances. It was, as we said, definitely an adventure in many ways, but we're so happy with the fact that we had the opportunity to put it together. So I think there were a few questions. One of the early ones, which I think maybe is on people's minds, it was certainly on our minds before we started this whole process, was how were we going to record these things from all of our separate quarantines? So I mentioned in the chat that what we did was a process of sort of layering things one by one. So Joe would lay down the bass line, as it were, and send us a track of her playing. And then Marin would put her part on top of that, followed by second violin and then first violin. So it was sort of this piece by piece process that allowed us to build up all of these pieces from the ground up, literally. And
Giancarlo, could I just interrupt for a second to say, Laura and I have been involved with teaching our college students this past 2 months, and dealing with ensembles has been about the biggest challenge of our lifetimes, because we're coaching.
I wouldn't go quite that far.
Mine.
Professionally, it's hard for any music school to deal with this, because most music schools are teaching people to play in ensembles, and they can't do it.
And one of the things that we've discovered, Laura and I are a duo, if we're not sitting in exactly the right place, like if she's 1.5 feet too far, I can't get the ensemble exactly the way we want it. So when we're dealing with Zoom and we're dealing with GarageBand and all these different ways of putting it together, and we have to deal with the speed of light. We understand that it is impossible to make music at the same time. But what you all have done, creating incredible music, stitching it together like that, it's just so inspiring to everybody.
Thanks. Yeah, it was definitely a learning curve for us, and I think we would be remiss if we didn't do a second round of thanks to our wonderful manager, Robert Besson, and his multi-talented son, Leo, who is a far better video technician and videographer and video editor and green screen guru than we could ever have hoped to be ourselves. So really a huge thanks to them for helping us be able to pull this off.
I just wanted to also say, what a great document you have now of a time that we hope is unique in our lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's a unique document, and now you have it. So that's a great accomplishment.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't tell in the videos here if any of my colleagues are here.
Yeah.
No, here
with me.
I just saw another great question of like, since we layered each person on top of each other. Yes, indeed, we did use a click track. That's why you always see us with like at least earbuds in one ear. So what actually happened was Jo would send me her recorded bass line. Either she would have already put a click track, or I would put a click track that aligned with hers. And then I would record my version to her version plus a click track in my ear, and then send my version to GC, who then would put another click track on this with all T. So it was like a multi-layered click track and audio things that then got aligned in different ways so that this whole thing could come together. But we tried out different versions, and we figured out that this was the best, because it was also difficult for us to align the sounds together so we play in tune with each other. Normally we hear the person and adjust, but if we would just play like by click tracks on our own, then it wouldn't sound good together. So it sounds complicated, but it turned out the best as we tried.
Well, it is truly amazing. And what I've always been telling my students is that recording as we know it, just the idea of having sound that isn't live, has only existed for a little more than 100 years. And in that time, it keeps evolving more and more. And what we're seeing now from the last couple of months is an enforced move to even newer technology.
We weren't privy to all the chat that you saw, but we did hear one question that was, is this just being watched by people in New Jersey? And I hope not. It could be watched by anyone in the world if they're up right now and able to turn on their computer. In fact, Cleo, my brother's cat, she did manage to figure out how to watch. So there's Cleo watching the program. So I think if Cleo can figure out how to watch these programs, anybody can figure out how to watch these programs.
Here's Hanny.
And Hanny is watching too, just from his green chair. He's right next to us here in his green chair watching, helping. So the programs are going to take place at the same time, May 9th, May 16th, and May 23rd.
Aaron, did you want to say something as well?
Yes, because I saw another question that followed up to the click track thingy. Because there are some tempo changes in the music, and the click track would normally just go and never stop, right? But there is a way to adjust the click track so that we have a certain section that's in one tempo, and then it gives us maybe like 6 beat in the new tempo, and then we switch over to a different click track. So that helps us change tempo even if we have a click track.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add that the audio is only one part of these productions. I say this because I'm involved with one of these audiovisual productions with my students. It's the end of the semester for their ensemble. So we're coming up with a audiovisual production of their piece they were supposed to learn and cannot perform for a live audience, and they're not in the same place. So we've been struggling with some of these things you're talking about, but I also can't believe the visual that you got. It was like really artistic and far beyond the visual that I'm making on my phone, I might add. But that's a whole other level of complexity to this production that I don't even want to think about doing it myself.
But the cool thing is also having the chat at the same time. It's actually really amazing because, I mean, with this new format, we can reach even more people than just the people in the room.
like we saw someone tuned in from Brazil, and I know my mom from Germany will be watching when she wakes up, and like there's a lot of people that we can reach. And also the chat is amazing to kind of see a little bit of getting like live reactions and feedback, which is really cool. I always wonder when I'm on stage, I wonder what the audience is thinking and what they like and what they don't like, what they wonder about. And now I actually can read it. So it's really cool and exciting. So thanks for sharing all of that too.
Yeah, sure. A couple of our students were playing a concert on Instagram Live, and Laura had a great time blowing hearts at them like nonstop. And the chat was constant. And I kept thinking, I'm always wanting to yell at my students, put your phones down and pay attention to what's going on. But hey, if you can't beat them, you might as well join them. So it just occurred to me, I've been looking at your pictures down here and never at the camera. But if anybody else from the quartet has anything to say, please let us know.
I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us. Like, it was quite heartwarming to see people from all over the world and all over the States come and listen and cheer us on. It's one of those times that when I send out an email telling my friends and family all over the world, it's a rare moment to tell everybody to come to one concert as opposed to like in the local area. So, and thank you so much to both Chris's and Melissa for helping us again with Leo and Robert, and you guys from Raritan, Laura and Michael, you guys have been great. And everybody from the Americas Society kind of helping us do this. It's been quite a feat, and we had a lot of fun. We learned a lot, and I'm very proud of my Argus Quartet members right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Bravo. Bravo.
I think this far exceeded our expectations.
Giancarlo, did you have a final word to add?
No, I just echo everything that Joe said. And I saw a comment about where you might see us live. And we know just as little as the rest of the world right now, but we have hopefully some concerts in the works, whether it's more in this format or, as we all hope to do sooner than later when it's safe to play together in person, because, of course, that's truly special in a way that can't be compared online. But we thank you for helping us make the most of this situation while we have to do that. So.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a really great honor and an incredible learning experience for us as well. We did want to let everybody know that WWFM and WWFM.org is going to be broadcasting the concerts of the festival this year, audio only. So they may take some of our other fancier parts away, but they'll be sharing that upcoming. The next 3 concerts, next Saturday, May 9, René Izquierdo, the Cuban guitarist, along with his special guest, Elena Checan, also guitarist, and the Newman and Altman Guitar Duo, a program of all music from Cuba. And we're going to be playing, Cuba. And we're going to be playing all new music from our new CD, the music of Leo Brouwer, that's coming out next week. Then on the 16th, Meridionalis, the group that's doing Baroque music from Spain and the New World. Sebastian Zubieta is the leader of that group. And then on the 23rd, Philadelphia Flute Quartet, doing a new piece by Eric Sessler and some other works as well. So we'd like to thank everybody from America's Society one more time. Hector, Greg, Luisa, Gina, and of course, Sebastian, who's been our partner in production for many, many years. And of course, one more thanks to the composers too, Chris and Melissa, the poet, for their contributions today. Really made it an amazing evening. And thank you, Argus Quartet.
Thanks. Cheers.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you. And I think we'll, on that note, say goodnight to everybody. And I hope you're having a nice reception wherever you are. Night.
Good night.
Good night.